Welcome techies to Coderix Tech Space. I am Prasad and I'll be your presenter today. As the saying goes, put knowledge where people trip over it. That's why we have created this page to share all our knowledge with the world. We hope that by making our knowledge more accessible, we can help people learn and grow. We will be sharing a variety of content related to software design and development, including industry trends, 101s on tools and frameworks, and useful tips and tricks. We hope that this space will become a hub for learning and collaboration. So come on in and start tripping over knowledge. This is the first video in our Cloud Journey playlist. In this video, I will show you about how to create a AWS Cloud Computing account and few other things you would do once you have an account. The image on the right provides a detailed overview of cloud adoption and why it is important to have hands-on experience with cloud computing if you are new to it. In the rest of the video, let us get to know about creating AWS account, about AWS Management Console, IAM Identity Center, creating user accounts, and setting budget limits. We are here at aws.amazon.com. We will be using this URL to access AWS Management Console for our daily needs. With AWS free tier pricing, you can gain free hands-on experience with AWS platform, products, and services. Feel free to locate the pricing menu and go through the pricing details. Most of the things we show today will fit within the free tier. But I still recommend you to gain some understanding of the pricing structure to avoid any cost. We have been able to play around with lots of services within AWS while staying within free tier. And as a practice, every month we go through our bills and identify and remove services that are no more required to keep our expenses in control. Now, let's go ahead and create our AWS account. I will locate and click on the Create an AWS Account button located on the right corner of the header. This will take us through a few steps to complete the AWS setup. We will be starting by providing our email account. The email we provide to create the AWS account will be considered as the root email. The root user has complete access to all AWS services and resources. AWS recommends that you only use a root user to create other users and roles with more limited permission. Later in this video, we shall see about best practices to follow with root account. Now I will enter my root account email. Then I will enter an account name for the account. You can change the account name for your account settings after you complete the sign up. Next, I will verify my email by providing the code that was sent to my email. Let me go ahead and enter the verification code. Now, I move on to the next step. At this point, I will choose my password. And I confirm my password by entering the same password. The next step would be providing my contact details. As you can see, I am masking my screen while I provide my contact details. I have completed providing my contact details. As you can see, I need to provide my payment details to create an account. There are different payment options and they also differ based on your region. You might have to choose the option that works for you. In the next step, I will confirm my identity. You can opt to get the verification code through a call or a message. In my case, I choose to get it through a call. Now I will verify my identity by entering the code. Next, I get options to choose my support plan. I will choose the basic support plan, that is free. And that's it. I have created my AWS account successfully. Now it's time for us to get to know our AWS cloud environment. I wish you a wonderful journey ahead. The AWS Management Console is a web application that comes with a broad collection of service consoles for managing AWS resources. Now, let us dive into our newly created AWS account. I sign up with my root user email ID. Since I've already logged in once, I have my password cached in the Google Password Manager. After successful login, I land on the AWS console dashboard. There are a lot of things you can do in the console dashboard. Let me talk about few things that would help you get started. On the right end is the account information section. This section provides details about your account, organization, billing, and other items. To the left of it is the region selector, which will display the current selected region. Right now you can see it is displaying it as Ohio, US East. As an exception, if you are working on a global service such as IAM or Route 53, the menu will display as global. You switch to your desired region before you work with any services. Now let's get into IAM service. From there you can see that the region selector switched to global, and you cannot get into a specific region when you work on a global service. However, if I get back into something called EC2, so this is a regional service. So you will select the region before you start creating resources or work through the service. So right now I'm on the US East Ohio region. So any services I do, anything I do will be created in this region. Moving to the further left, I can locate the AWS service selector. You can use this to navigate to services within AWS. They are grouped by top level categories for easy navigation. So if, for example, if you get into compute, you can get into any services that are related to compute. You can get into EC2, you can get into Elastic Bean, Stack, and other stuff. But if you're looking for some storage services, then you get into storage, where you have S3, EFS, all those stuff for your storage things. Similarly, you can get into the database and do things with the database services. From here, you can also mark your favorite services. It is an effective way to reach the services you frequently used. Now let's see how we can mark a favorite service of ours and how quickly we can reach to it. Let's say you frequently wanted to do some analysis on your log, this one, so you get into CloudWatch, right? So let's mark this as favorite, and every time you log into AWS console, you will see this CloudWatch in the favorites bar over here, and you can easily jump into that service. So this makes your life easier when you frequently work on few services. Next to the right is your AWS search. This is a quick way to find and navigate the services and resources that you are looking for. For example, let's say I'm looking for an API gateway kind of service. So I don't know where it is grouped or how it's categorized. I can go directly and search over here, typing API gateway, and you'll get everything that associated to the API gateway. You will see all the services, features, resources, documentation, and stuff like that. So this is a very effective search for you to directly land on a particular service or something you are interested with. There are a lot more capabilities within the AWS console that you will get familiar as and when you start working with the tool and get using it on a daily basis. And here is a link for you to gain more knowledge about the AWS Management Console. AWS recommends you to create an administrative user so that you don't use the root user for everyday tasks. So we will start by creating our administrative user. Now let's look for the IAM on the search, and I go mark this as a favorite. So you can now see that IAM is there in the favorite bar. So it's easy for me to reach from here. Now we are here at IAM. You can see IAM is a global service, and anything you do will be doing at the global level. IAM is the foundation of AWS security. If you have an AWS account, you will be using IAM to protect your resources. You can use this feature at no extra cost. Now let's go and create an admin account using IAM. I get into users and then I create a user. Let's give a name for this user. I enable the AWS Management Console for this user. Select I want to create an IAM user radio box. Then I provide my own custom password. Using IAM, you can specify who can access which AWS services and resources. IAM then enforces those permissions for every request that comes into AWS. For any resource in AWS, access is denied by default, and access is granted only when permissions specify and allow. For this user that we created, every access is denied. We are going to now go ahead and see how to provide an allow permission for this user. So let's go ahead and create a group. We'll give a name for the group. And we are going to select the administrative access policy. So if you expand this policy and see details of this, you can see the policy states that it has an allow effect on all actions and all resources within AWS. So every policy you provide is in a format of JSON, and you will provide policies based on what the user require access to. We selected this administrative access for this group and we continue further. We don't set any permission boundaries for now. We review all details and continue. We have successfully created our administrator user. We download the credentials for further reference. On returning back to the user list, you can see the newly created user, and under the user group, the newly created administrator group. AWS recommends that you grant user the least privilege necessary to perform their jobs. View the complete list of tasks that require you to sign in as a root user at the below link. Using AWS Budgets, you can set custom budgets that alert you when you exceed your budgeted threshold. Now let's go ahead and create a budget for our newly created account. I get into AWS Budgets and then I could see a create a budget button over here. I click on that. There are two ways you can set up a budget. I use a template for now. And then the first option allows me to set up a budget where I don't want to spend any money when I try to use the free tier. So we are not going with that now. Let me go set me a monthly cost budget. So the name of the budget is my monthly cost budget. You can change it if you prefer to. And then this this brings you the last month's cost. If you're holding this account for longer, you will see what was your cost last month. Right now I want to set a budget for $5. And then I provide the email ID where I would want to get notified. So you can see here there are three kind of notification you will receive. One is when your actual spend reaches 85%, and then when your actual spend reaches 100%, and if your forecasted spend is expected to reach 100%. We continue further, and you can see our monthly budget is created. With this budget alert, you can always ensure that you don't get surprise bill when you use AWS for experimenting things. Now that we set a budget alert for $5, if you are reaching that or if you have reached that, we'll get a notification over an email, and we can take the necessary action to bring the budget into control. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more interesting videos.